Welcome to this bonus episode of the Limitation is a Mirage podcast. On this episode, I have Terri Fierce. Terri is a world champion pole dancer. She's traveled the world performing and judging in all different competitions of pole and just different performances throughout the world. We talk on this episode about how we met up, how the industry has changed since we've met, where we see it going, and what we think is most important about performing or about competing within the pole industry. We also touch on her personal life, on the illness that she had and how she overcame it, and just sort of just get into the ethos of who Terri Fierce actually is. So I know you're going to enjoy this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us, and I will speak to you again soon.
Woohoo!
Thanks for joining us, guys. I have on with me today Terri Fierce, who is a world champion pole dancer and has Fierce Fitness Studio down in, it's around Dublin, isn't it? Where are you, in Maynooth?
Yeah, we've got one in Maynooth and one in Dublin.
So you have two studios now, so you're even fancier.
Yeah.
Yep. So before I get into how we met and stuff, do you want to give a brief introduction as to who you are for the people that mightn't know you?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Terri Fierce. It's my stage name. My real name is Terri Walsh. And yeah, as you said, I run Fierce Fitness in Maynooth. I run that with my partner, my business partner, Michael. And then my best friend, Sarah, runs the Dublin studio. So that's really my main job. And then, yeah, I'm a former competitor. I would have competed in world championships and nationals and stuff like that. So so I just judge around the place and go and teach workshops and stuff. So that's me. That's my job.
You said competed, but I competed. You actually won things. You're a world champion, yes. Are you not?
I suppose, yeah.
just another day. Just another day. What was it like to become a world champion from someone who's done martial arts for a long time? That was one of the goals. Was always to like the first championship I ever won was British. And you're like, right. Well, that's where you're supposed to be aiming for. So you actually hit the pinnacle. So what was that like?
It was pretty deadly, yeah. Like, to be honest, it was quite unexpected because it was the first time that I competed internationally with my partner. So myself and Lisette competed in doubles. And when we won, I mean, it was such a difficult competition to win because they had such a specific, I don't know if it's the same for martial arts, but they'd have you have to hit these particular moves and you have to rotate around the pole this many times for it to count, things like that. So honestly, I was as surprised as anybody. It was almost like we got the guideline, the booklet or whatever, and we followed it so perfectly because we had nothing else to work with. So it really worked in our favor. So we literally gave them what they wanted and we won. And I think we came second then the following two championships in that same category, and then we won the other one. Do you know the way there's two? There's like the World Pole Dance and there's the IPSF. So we were kind of bouncing around doing a couple of competitions at a world level, but it was unbelievable to be able to win a few of them. It was like, I don't know, did I peak too early? I don't know. But it was great. When they called our names every time, it was just unbelievable, such an honor, it was great.
You can see it when you watch videos back when they call your names. It's almost like you have a wee double take. Is that, I know that is my name, but am I the only one with that? Is it just me? Or?
Yeah, well, that's it. Are we the only Terri Lisette here today? It's brilliant. It's unbelievable. I was really proud of us, and it was such a great time because we were winning, and then we'd go teach abroad, and then we come back and we train and we'd do another competition or another show, and it was just constantly building. It was a really great way to kind of kick off an international career in pole, because previous to that, as you know yourself, we were all so based in Ireland, and it was quite insular here, wasn't it? And you'd have the All Irelands, but it really blasted us out into the mainstream pole, so it was good. It's definitely amazing.
That's actually where we met, was the All Irelands. I competed.
Wasn't it?
I don't remember when it was. I remember standing beside Sarah, your business partner, with and best friend, business partner and best friend. They handed me the bag, and I opened the bag, and I was like, "What is this stuff?" And just handed it over. I was like, "Do you want this too?" Also, I don't know what I'm going to do with any of this. But it always made me think that, I started pole on the Thursday, and then was in the competition on the Sunday. That's how quick my
For God's
transition
sake. For God's
to.
sake. What a man. What a man.
I just didn't have the thing was I had so little clue about what the whole industry was
Yeah.
and world was that
Yeah.
when Grania, who was my instructor at the time, said, "I think you could enter it. You'll be good. There's not
Yeah.
that many guys in it anyway. You'll be fine."
Yeah.
I didn't know any different. I didn't know it was going to be hard or anything, so I just went. I remember her
Yes.
shouting names of stuff and meeting yourself and Michael. And people saying to me, "How long have you been doing pole?" And I was like, "About 6 hours, probably, if you count today." So,
Oh,
uh,
that's
but it was
probably
such
really
a, like you said,
for other
it was such a close knit thing. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, yous are like everywhere. Like you were on, you said, which for Irish people, the Late Late Show was like another pinnacle. Did you used it?
Yeah,
Didn't you?
yeah. Oh, that was gas. Yeah, once you're interviewed by Ryan Tuberty, I mean, that's it really. You know.
Well, I
What
was
else
just
would you
more
be doing?
impressed that the RT allowed pole dancing on
Yeah,
because it wasn't very.
yeah. It was impressive. Yeah, it was flattering.
Yeah.
So it was great. He let us on.
Do you think
Yeah.
that for me, just because you started to really take off whenever I just became aware of the whole scene. Do you think you
Yeah.
had a big hand in opening that up for, like, from my first competition to the next year was so, like, the audience, the crowd, the people,
Yeah.
the moves, like the stuff. I landed
Yeah.
doing pretty much the same stuff, and then people were just doing like mental things.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
yeah. But didn't the industry just take off itself? I mean, aside from myself and the set or anything, it was almost like just that era was like, because I remember when Michael did his first competition, like the tricks that he was doing were so like, or even for us, like we would do a handspring and everybody would lose their shit. Like, whereas
Yeah.
now, or even a couple of years later, that was like intermediate people were doing that. And we were so, like, we would have been the first people in Ireland, all of us, you know, yourself included, who were able to do strength tricks and
Yeah.
take it more so into that kind of like IPSF side of things. So like, I don't even know that we opened things up. I think it just opened up. I think it blew up. And then obviously, you know, with social media and like YouTube was starting to get a little people that were doing that in other countries were more visible to us.
Yeah.
So I think it just explode. Like, and I remember we went to, you know, a couple of competitions like 3 years later, and the standard when we were judging, we were like, we're judging this, and like we're so glad we're not competing in it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it must be like that for you though, because you compared the world championships.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
One of the lines I said about halfway through it was, I said to the audience, "I'm sorry, but I have to make a confession. I lied. Earlier I said I was a pole dancer. I was not a pole." I was like, "Look, what is going on here?" But I
remember you said
I remember Michael, when I first competed against Michael, when he came off the stage and it calmed down and everybody was chilled, I was like, "Michael, what the fuck? I have to go on after that. Have you seen what I do up there?" I was like, "What are you, like, why are you doing this to me?" So,
what
like,
the hell? That's so funny.
I watching the Worlds this year was just like, it was just madness.
sick.
Like, yeah, like some of the stuff.
Ki Hong from China, he was like, it's just unbelievable stuff. Like, it's almost, I don't know about you, but I found like going to, even in other countries, like some places that we've judged, it's almost unbelievable that these people are 10 feet away from you, 12 feet away from you, that they're in the same room, because the things that they're doing, like, even though we're polars, like, it's, maybe it's even more so obvious because we know how difficult those movements are. Like, the level just skyrocketed. And the stuff that we were seeing people do was unbelievable. Like, the World Championships this year was ridiculous. Oh no, it was last year. God, this year's flown, hasn't it? It's like,
it's
what
flown and nobody's left their house.
Yeah. Nowhere to go.
for me, I found the world strange as well. Was like, I was standing off stage beside people, and as you know, I do a lot of mindset work, and I'm looking at people going, I could work with all of these. Everybody's freaking out. And then they get on stage and you're like, how did that terrified person do that? And then they come wandering back off. Hello. You're like, like, I have to go on. I think go on, Ed.
I just find, like, whatever frame of mind you're in, like, I was always terrified going on stage, but there's a certain point that's like your body kicks in out of self-defense, like, like, if you slip, like, that's it. So it's just, but it is a constant battle, isn't it, for every competitor trying to compete against your own head and say to
Yeah.
yourself, you know, you're not going to mess this up. I absolutely, there's never been a competitor. There's a few competitors that I've been backstage with who seem fine, but like most 90% of people, even like I've watched Dmitry Politov backstage, and you know, like everybody freaks out, but to a different degree. Everybody has their own different way of freaking out, as you probably saw. It's interesting, really interesting to watch.
You'd see that anywhere. Like I've worked in just through the magic and stuff with different clubs, and I remember working with a comedian, and he had been on one of the biggest TV shows in Ireland. He's been doing it for years, and he was, look, if you didn't know him, you'd be like, that man is petrified and is going to bomb when he goes out there. And then they just go and switch it on. I think it's an important thing. Like you just touched on it there, that you're always competing against yourself. It doesn't matter. Like if me and you competed tomorrow, there's nothing I can do about your skill level. I can only work on me doing the best I can do. So is that the advice that you would give to your students? And like you've a lot of champions under you as well. So you're not just a champion, you have
people have definitely taken gold competing from Fierce, but like I find the best advice I've ever probably given is that, like, and you've heard this yourself before, is people don't know what you're going to do. So once you kind of just badass it, like no one's going to know any different. And okay, so you might not win or you might not whatever, but once you show up for yourself, like you go on stage and you are able to give, like, do credit to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like you're able to just show up as you are, rather than going up and thinking, right, well, I need to nail the spatchcock, or I need to nail the Rainbow Marchenko or whatever. Like it's actually not about that, you know. It's about the attitude that you have, as you well know. It's that kind of thing. So I'd always say to people, like, you're competing against yourself. Literally, that's all. Like once you get off stage, you have to feel good about what you did, you know.
Just when you mentioned the routines, because anyone I've worked with, and even when they were competing in martial art forums or pole or whatever it was, I've only ever worked with individuals, so I'm able to say to them, like, nobody knows your routine. Like I remember when I performed not the last time I competed, but before, I had a damaged shoulder, and I did a crane and got stuck. I couldn't get out. I couldn't move my arm, so I like waddled and like did like a half forward roll and climbed the pole and did a move. I did a flag, but facing the wrong way because I was in stitches laughing, and I thought if I'm laughing facing, it'll be really bad. So I'll do it the wrong way and I'll laugh it off. But I always say to people, nobody knows your routine. If you went from A to D to B to F, nobody's going to know that except your face.
Nobody's going to know. That's it.
But you've competed on a world level with a partner. So how do you overcome if you ever make a slip up or ever make a mistake? How do you...
You'd normally, we were always first and foremost performers, I think. So it was not that the tricks were secondary, but like we were pretty good at not letting people know when the other person messed up, or if you messed up yourself. We were really good at showing face. Like, so I mean, I remember one time my top popped open in the World Championships in the semi-finals, and so it was one of those little clip tops, and we were doing the choreography and it clipped. And so she just kept doing the choreography, and I just was like trying to like slightly move and get it back on, and it must have lasted about 3 seconds, and I had it fixed. But she had just pretended like nothing happened, and I think that was really valuable, because if she had been shaken by that, then I would have been shaken by her, and we would have lost it. But like if ever anybody, one of us messed up, you would just sort of fill in until that person came back. We had a lot of trust in each other. You knew the person was going to come back to you. You know, like you had that faith. And there were a few times, though, more so in showcases, but times where like we would be upside down and our heads would be very close together, and we'd say to each other, give me your left leg, or, you know, or no, abort, next move. So like there were times that we physically communicated with each other, but I don't think it ever showed. I mean, maybe it did, I don't know, but yeah, we were good at covering it up. So, but it's definitely harder with a partner, but they can distract from you. So like that, if you mess up, they can sort of carry it for a second. So maybe it's a positive thing as well.
And then the idea of having the trust, obviously you have to trust because some of the stuff you were doing were ridiculous. And if you had no trust,
Yeah.
one of you would go flying off the stage or
Yeah.
something. But
There'd be a death. Yeah, absolutely.
so you had that support system. Like you
Yeah.
talk a lot about support system anyway in general, like when I see in social media, you're always doing stuff, but you had that literally on stage with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you think that that's important for like the not just the community you're in, but just in general to create a strong network around you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you can't have one without the other. Like, you know, like even in terms of running a studio, like if you're not supportive to each other, if you don't trust each other, it's all going to go tits up. You know, like it's never, it's almost hollow at the bottom. It's got no foundation. I think the foundation of any team, whether it's a doubles team or whether it's a huge studio or whether it's just a little group of dancers or fighters or whatever, if you don't trust each other, like you're at nothing, you know. And you do see, don't you see a lot of people sort of breaking up because of that, breaking up in partnerships in business or breaking up as performers or whatever. You see that sometimes just the trust isn't there. So like you could be able to do sick tricks all day long, but like it doesn't matter. It's not about that, you know. It's about like the feeling that you have together. So I would say the support system is probably the most important thing. You know?
Yeah, it seems like ego as well. Like I've met a lot of your students over the years, and a lot of the time you can tell they're your students because when I get talking to them, I'm like, oh, you can nearly feel your like ethos or presence or whatever it is being taught through them. Like when you meet them, you just be like, I know you, bet you're from there. So I think
that's a nice thing people can say to me. Like that's just made my day that you said that. Like that's so nice. That's nothing else matters except for that we are all, you know, have the same ethos. That's exactly it. Like,
it's a lot of the people talk about family, like in all the groups I've been part of, they'll say it's a family, and then it's not. Like you're around them and you're like, this is not a family. What are you talking about? Whereas you seem to have created a family vibe that actually is like a family, like people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sure.
So for me, I think that's why, like whenever you get up and perform, where was the last you performed at the Worlds, or was it at the All Ireland?
Yeah, it would have been myself and Sarah and a group from our studio. So like a little dance crew rather than a doubles thing. It was cool.
Yeah. So whenever you see that, you can sort of feel the connection there, which again is important for. If you aren't connected, then the audience isn't going to be connected to what you are doing.
No, they don't believe in you. Like, and like there's always times when there's split seconds when you lose a connection. I don't know, is it mental or what is it? Or is it a spiritual or something? But there's times when you feel your energy with somebody has, like as a group in a dance routine or during a trick, you can feel the energy go down. You feel you've lost the audience a little bit. But it's very rare and you can always kind of pull it back. But I can't imagine performing with somebody that you don't have that connection with at least most of the time. You know, and half the time, like for example with me and the girls at the Worlds, we just had the crack. Like we had fun and we didn't take it too seriously. And like that now, ego is it's one of the quickest killers of the crack. You know, like you just can't have fun if you've got egos, if you're not humble. And I just really found that, especially with that group at the Worlds, like we were, you know, so supportive of each other, and we were just all about like having shipper afterwards and like having a couple of drinks, and it was just very, I feel like that came through because I think it was fun, you know.
It's more than just you meet up and you train and go home. It's like
no,
interacting more, and it does. Like I remember being asked in the last competition, one of the guys asked me why. He was like, how do you always beat me? Because like I am the first to admit I had about 4 moves. I was shit, but I
did them well though.
Yeah, but I could rock a stage. I owned the audience as soon as I take stage.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's from years of being in front of it for different things. But that's what I said to him. I was like, the reason I beat you and you are far better than me is you focus on you doing stuff on a pole, whereas I focus on me entertaining the audience and giving the judges slightly enough of what they want to go.
Yeah.
I think what I did, I think I was very good at confusing the judges into thinking I was better than I was. They're like, I don't
No, I
remember the
would
moves,
totally.
but he was good.
I hear no, I hear that. I think if you have an electricity with the person who's watching you, and if your priority is that they enjoy your performance,
Yeah,
if your priority isn't about you. Like it's actually that's what entertaining is, isn't it? It's
yeah,
about giving them something that's going to excite them or move them or whatever. Like that's absolutely my philosophy. Because like even recent performances that I've done, I'm doing the same tricks that I was doing 8 years ago, but I do them so easily that I can ignore the trick and focus on the person
yeah,
in front of me. So like if I was thinking about the trick, I wouldn't be able to do that as well or at
yeah.
all probably. So then how do you connect with somebody? So I totally agree with that. I think that's really wise actually. That's
See,
how I've been getting through
wise.
the last couple of years. Because I can't
um,
do the shit people are doing now.
you what? Sorry.
I can't do the shit people are doing now. Like,
No, but
so
again, you could put us in a room with incredible, like trick artists and stuff, but the
yeah.
audience at the end would vote for people like us because
Mm,
like they feel like I did. My last routine was
we're good crack.
yeah, the
Yeah.
gift of the Irish. Like I did, like mine was a Magic Mike theme,
Oh yeah.
and
Well, you've already worked there. Like, you
yeah,
can't
and
go
people were
wrong with that.
like, "Who did you base it on?" I was like, "I've never seen the movie." It was D.
What?
I've never seen it, so it was D that said to me, "You should enter," and I was like, "But I don't care enough. I'm not a very competitive person." She's like, "Just do
Yeah.
a Magic Mike theme; it'll be well funny." So
Yeah.
like I went dressed in like a pair of trackies and a jacket initially and stripped to
Yeah.
shorts and a like my first ever competition. I was wearing a I was walking to the stage in a pair of shorts and a vest, and one of my
Right.
mates was like, "At least take the fucking vest off, would you? You can't get on like at least don't wear a vest." That looked like I was going to
Yeah.
the beach, shorts down to my knees.
That's exactly that's exactly what Michael wore in his first competition: black
Yeah,
vest and black shorts. Like,
yeah,
but you know what? There's something impressive about being able to be nonchalant. I don't know how to pronounce that. Nonchalant on stage.
nonchalant. Yeah,
No, about giving a fuck. There's something hotter about getting up there and being like it's not about like blinging yourself out. Sometimes it is, and sometimes that's part of the story, like in pole art and stuff. And
yeah,
you get marked for. But there is something endearing and exciting about somebody that's like fuck this. Like they just want to give you a good time. It's not about
yeah.
you know like how expensive their costume is or whatever. So yeah. Oh, Michael's first competition was literally, I think all his performances were vest and shorts,
Yeah.
except for when he started getting like, he was about 2 years in and he started getting costumes done. But like, he looked great. It's just
Yeah.
that's all you need.
He coming from being around yourself, he portrayed a story and connected everything, but he connected with the audience. Like that's
Yeah,
which like I competed against guys and I remember saying to them, "You were brilliant." And they're like, "I know, but how did you come third?" I'm like, "I just talked to the audience."
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
you did stuff.
absolutely.
Like my first
Yeah.
my first actual routine, I had never heard my song before.
Oh my God. Is this the one after you'd been doing pole 6 hours?
Yeah. So somebody took the song and edited it for me. So they start playing it. There was a video somewhere and you see me about to do like a handspring and then the
Right.
music stops. So I just stop and
Oh.
bow and acted like I meant it. And I wander off the stage. Like I I think I took it a little too far not caring, but like I said, I didn't know what I'd never been to. I only went to the pole studio because two of my students wanted to try it and were too afraid to
Right.
go on
Yeah.
their own. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll go and
That's
do
a
it.
good a reason as any, though. That's a good a reason.
Yeah,
That's a better reason than, like, it's good to go with people. And like, I think the reason I did it was I just wanted to dance. Like, I didn't really fancy being really good or anything like that. I just wanted to move, and nobody would do it with me. Actually, I went on my own to my very first class. So that was gas. But it was like, I don't know. I think that's an organic reason to start rather than
yeah,
going into it to become champion or that's too much pressure. And I'm a big fan of not stressing yourself out, you know, because pressure will kill you, like. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's worked for us. It's worked for us so far. Say nothing.
Have
We're
you
doing all
always
right,
been like that? So like you're saying you started pole because you wanted to just dance, but like
yeah.
how did you, was your childhood like this? Were you a dancer when you were younger? What?
Oh no, 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 no. Like I just was a massive Michael Jackson fan. So like I would just dance in my bedroom. Like I'd put on like a VHS of Thriller, and I would literally just learn that dance or whatever. So that's, or when I got into other music, like I literally would just put it on in my room and dance by myself. But there was no, because I'm from Portlaoise, and there were no dance classes back then really in Portlaoise. I don't even know if there are now, but there was like speech and drama or Irish dance, but there was nothing that you could put your own, I don't know, it was too structured. Like
Yeah, there's no
there wasn't,
creativity
I
there.
didn't, yeah, I didn't find much creativity down there. So then like I started pole when I was 21 or something, and that was how late it took for me to actually go and do. But like I did Irish dance for like a month, and I did ballet for like a couple of weeks, but they just never appealed to me. Pole, I'm sure you'll agree, like maybe it's the same with martial arts. You can nearly put your own soul into it a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
so I found, yes, but I wouldn't be a trained dancer. Christ, no, definitely not. That's like,
So have
yeah, I
you
wish
always been creative then? Have you always been
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Like I would always like have been able to hear music, or like, but I can't sing or anything like that or play music. Oh God. But it's more, I think it's more of a mental thing, like, or maybe it's in your heart. Like I've definitely felt like I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I never knew it was going to be dance. And I always wanted to dance, but I never was taught how to dance. So I feel like it actually just organically all came together. But I'd say there's creativity in opening a studio and stuff, isn't there? Like,
yeah.
it's not going down the road that's traveled all the time, you know, it's staying away from the old 9 to 5. And so I'd say that's the creativity that I go for.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
to run a business in a country that looked down on the business for so long
Yeah.
is you have to be quite creative to get around it. Have you had any
Yeah.
experiences with like people shooting you down for, because it took a long time for pole to be a sport, or to be pole dancing it was
Yeah.
just stripping to most
Yeah.
people.
It did, didn't it? It did
Yeah.
actually, yeah. And now it's gone back the other way. Now people are like really applauding the stripper side of it and sex work side of it. So like it's incredible the sort of journey it's taken even in the last
Yeah.
10 years, isn't it? Especially in Ireland. Like, but yeah, for years I didn't tell anybody. I would, like, if I was on a night out and some guy asked me what I did, I didn't say what I did, because they would just have a different opinion of it. But
Yeah.
then I think that comes down to like, I cared what people thought of me as well. So I don't know, did that coincide with that era in Ireland, like where pole fitness wasn't really respected as a sport? And it also coincided with me being like, what would you call it? I sort of would be happy to conform to that. So now I wouldn't give a shit. Like now if somebody said to me, oh, what do you do? Like I have no issues with saying it, even if they're a priest or something. Like I don't care, you know. I remember I did a show actually here in Maynooth, and there was a salsa school, and they were doing a camp. They do a camp every year, and it was like a weekend thing. And it was my ex-partner's sister who was a salsa dancer. So I ended up getting into that crew, and I said, listen, I'll do a performance for you at this thing, and it's in Maynooth, so I'll hand out leaflets and it will work for the studio. And it was St. Patrick's College, so it would have been like a priest training college, and they said to them, you can never have her back. Like that's disgraceful what she did. And I was like doing a pole sport performance. So like, I think that kind of thing is funny, but I mean, like, I just don't care anymore. You know, I think you're similar. I think we're both a bit like, we're comfortable in ourselves. So
Yeah.
there were years when that affected me, but now it is the complete opposite. Like I don't mind that at all, you know, but that has coincided with people are more open-minded too. So it works out pretty.
Was there a turning point for you where you got to the point where you just thought like, fuck it, I don't care what people think of me. This is what I do. This is what I love. This is what I'm going to do. Is there anything that...
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, it was a turning point in life, and it was when I got sick. So obviously, as you said earlier, I had cancer, and like it brought everything to a fore, and it made me realize that none of your ego is important. What other people think of you is important. The only thing that is important actually is kindness, like kindness to other people and growing yourself as a spiritual person. And it completely changed me, the way I look at things. Like I would be like, God, I would care so much about what people thought of me. And now I just did a complete 180. Like, and I think it was honestly that sort of having that face your own mortality, or the idea that you might not be able to enjoy the simple things for a while. That really changed me. So it wasn't even to do with pole. It was that, and it just changed the way I looked at everything in life. So
I noticed.
It's why I don't even.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's why I haven't competed. Like I have no desire to compete at the moment, because I'm like, I don't need to prove myself anymore. Yeah. Whereas I kind of maybe I felt like I did, but I don't need to. I'd rather perform and have people enjoy what I do, but me not staying up at night worrying if I'm going to be good enough and beat this person and that person. It was damaging, actually. So, and I'm just not a very competitive person either. Like I don't really like judging myself that way anymore. So it's definitely changed my direction, even in life and even in the career that I have. So it was good. Yeah. It's a good thing.
Well, you were quite open with being diagnosed as well. I think we talked about it maybe a year ago, because for me, like I'm surrounded by people in the pole industry and stuff, and then I seen you being so open, and then that, to me, from an outlook, and especially being male, it's not something I can really talk to females about. Whereas you were open up, and to me, it was giving people an idea that like this is a world champion athlete, and all of a sudden, like we're not supposed to get sick in general. Like if you have a cold, people go, "I thought you were fit."
Yeah,
you're like
you're so healthy. Yeah.
So have you found that's opened up like a different, not audience, but like a different people coming to you with from different backgrounds and things? Because
absolutely, yeah, like it changed my whole like social media, even, because people were mailing me and saying like, thank you so much for coming out about this, I'm really worried about this, what should I do? And I became more, I think, approachable because of that, because I think you show your vulnerability, and people are so happy to see that, not because they want you to be vulnerable, but because we're all vulnerable, and because we're all dealing with stuff like that. It might not be cancer, it might be depression, it might be anxiety. So like the more I found I came out about it, absolutely, it changed my audience. Yeah. And like, there's always a mix in everybody's social media audience. Like 20% are watching you for pole fitness, 30% are watching you for this or that, whatever. So, but I definitely found it opened things up. But that's not even the reason I said about it and became open about it, was because when I was diagnosed, so many of my friends said that they had never even been, had never had their smears done, or had never had like a breast check or anything like that. And some of them are in their mid 30s. And I was like, girls, like this is ridiculous. But I would have been the same. So it just made people stop and think that actually we're not invincible. We feel we are, but we're not. And that was the only reason I did it. Like it was very hard to come out about it, because it's really hard to be vulnerable. And it was the first time I think I had ever let myself be real on social media.
Yeah.
So it was definitely difficult, but it's the best thing I could have done, because it's true to yourself then, isn't it? So.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of pressure off you as well. Like I nothing remotely as extreme, but you've met me in real life and we've had the crack. And then when I do videos about the Prove It Guy, I was very straight laced, and because I worked with so much depression and suicide and everything. Yeah. And then I was like, that's actually so much work for me to do that. And since I deleted everything and restarted, instead of just trying to do a 180. But I notice a lot now, people have realized, hey, you're normal, whatever normal is. They're like, you actually curse and you like have bad days, and you
oh, absolutely, yeah, which is like, so great that you're being real about that, because it's comforting, especially when you're in a few different industries. Like you're in the martial arts industry too, and that's another invincible industry where you've got to be, you're tough and you're unstoppable and you're strong and all that. But like, it's great to be real coming from both our industries, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it really helps, because what I noticed when I started getting more into pole, even though I stepped back from actually going to classes and competing and stuff, I still stayed in contact with a lot of the people I met, because a lot of them
Yeah,
are really nice to be around.
really
But
nice. Yeah, it's a lovely country.
yeah, but it attracts a lot. Same as martial arts, it attracts a lot of broken people. And if the people at the
Mm,
top of the mountain look invincible, then broken people never see themselves ever getting there. But people like
yeah,
yourself opening up and saying, like, I'm super fit, super healthy. I also have cancer. They're like,
yeah,
What? But you're not.
yeah,
You're a world champion. You're way up there." So then they can see
yeah,
themselves
totally.
aspiring to be that, which I think then
Yeah.
makes you more inspirational than if you had a how I don't know how you would have hid it, but if you had tried to hide it, like it would have seeped out another.
You know what? Do you know what? I was advised to hide it as well. I was told like, and a couple of my relationships broke down after this. Actually, was because like one or two people said you should absolutely not go public with that. It's just attention seeking, and
Oh
you
yeah,
shouldn't say anything.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was told that, and it really like it just felt so wrong. But I was so I could be really really influenced by people too. So I was like, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't. You know, maybe it is attention seeking, and I'm just looking to, you know, like get people's sympathy. But Jesus, it was. There's nothing fun about posting that online. Like, there's that is zero crack. Like that's no fun. So it wasn't that, but it did make me second guess myself because the initial reaction is to protect yourself and hide
yeah,
those things, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah,
But there's so
it
many
sucked.
easier ways someone like yourself could seek attention online. Like, why would you do?
Yeah.
Like, I just I was going to ask, did that come up with people around you? Because again, I find it in anything, like people are just quick to judge and quick to get jealous. Like, oh, you're just doing that. Like, I know you, and I don't know you like super duper well. We've known each other for years, but
Mm,
like we wouldn't be mega close. But I would know
mm.
you're not posting anything like that as attention seeking. It just doesn't fit
Ah, no,
with you at all.
no.
So whenever I always think when people around like whenever I again it's not as extreme, but because I work with anxiety a lot, I talked about my own food anxiety that I had when I was about six.
Right.
I had it when I was a kid, and then I had it again when I was about 16. I lived
Oh,
in chocolate
really?
spread
Jesus.
sandwiches for about 6 years when I was younger.
You
But
lived on what, Sam?
like Nutella, no chocolate spread, like Nutella sandwiches.
Oh, man.
At least
Tasty though.
I
Tasty.
know that was the only saving grace. I chose something nice to live
Yeah,
on,
at
but
least you didn't pick lettuce or something, you know. But yeah, it's not ideal for sure.
yeah. But when I went to talk about that, people were like, "That you'll lose people," and also like, "What's the point?" And I'm like, "Well, just so people
Yeah,
know that I am like I do some crazy stuff on stage, like getting kicked in the groin and getting hit with sledgehammers and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
good for me to come out and say I used to be afraid of food. Like I literally
yeah.
thought I was going to die if you
Wow.
like give me any food. I'd be like,
Holy
but I was
shit.
brilliant at hiding it. Sweat blind to me. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Wow. Yeah, yeah. That's
so
incredible. That's really interesting and like unusual, isn't it? Like that, and like that you said, people would be looking at you from a different perspective, so you'd never think that at all.
yeah,
But but then isn't that what we should be using social media for? Or if you have any kind of a platform, isn't that what you should use it for? And
yeah,
having said that, I'd be the first to say that like I'm quite everybody's still very fake on Instagram. Like it's rare I'd post anything without a filter, and like my hoop is up on that thing more often than not. But like, you know, you
the
gotta
pole hoop,
you gotta
the pole hoop. Are you talking about?
oh yeah, 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 that one, yeah. But you gotta balance it, like, you know. But it's really it's. I think you're dead right. I think I would never say to you not to do that. I think it's
Yeah,
so
I
commendable that you do. You know.
I think whenever you're saying about your Instagram is the filters and stuff on the actual page, whatever the
Mm,
page thing's called, but your
yeah,
stories then really I feel are really open now, and that's what I try to do
yeah,
with mine. I want a nice feed for my social media. I like to have a nice feed, but if you follow
yeah,
my stories, you'd be like, "What is this guy
yeah,
like doing
yeah,
today?" So you do have a nice feed on your social media, but
mm,
even with the filters and things that you use, you're still
yeah,
not fake. As in, if I just watch your story for the day, I can be
yeah.
like, she's on the ramp. Like recently, you went on holidays with Sarah, and you were posting like pulling
Oh,
funny faces and just madness. So you're,
Oh,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. There's so much stuff we don't put on the Insta stories that actually I'm like, my father said, my dad, we party a lot with mom and dad. Like we go to festivals together. My folks are absolute animals. Like, and we always would go on holidays with them. Like I would always invite them around with us, and they love Sarah. And my dad was like, "You should have a YouTube account. The two of you are like Dumb and Dumber. Like it's
yeah,
ridiculous." So, but I think that is actually who we are. Like yourself
yeah,
with your stories. That's where the magic is. That's where you.
yeah,
That's what your life is. You know.
yeah.
Or
That's
me and
that.
Michael, like I have his head wrecked. Like, I'm like, Michael, do this. He's like, fuck's sake. But actually, that's where it's at. That's where the fun is.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
that's what I mean. A lot of people wouldn't do that. They would show their, like, I chatted to Kathy about this whenever lockdown happened. I was like, look at all of the performers and things that we know that live a
Yeah.
really exciting life, and now all of a sudden they're fucked because they're
Yeah.
not doing any of the bullshit anymore, and
Yeah.
they can't
Yeah.
go online and like you can go on and have the crack, whereas
Yeah.
they couldn't because they had set up this
Yeah.
such a fake persona that they're going, I can't
Totally.
post
Yeah. They're not
anything.
traveling, or they're not like, they don't have their daily routine, which would be so different. Like, do you know what? I feel like I came into my own in lockdown. I don't know about you, but I
Yeah,
feel like lockdown I suffer with anxiety as well, pretty bad. And I have just come out of depression, actually, which is something I've never posted about. And I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But uh, I read somewhere that like the whole COVID thing, the whole pandemic thing actually really calms you down when you're anxious, because you're like, well, this is as bad as it's going to, like the
yeah,
worst has actually happened, So
yeah,
you feel oddly in control. You feel oddly like, oh, okay, I can actually, there's nothing else I can do. I don't need to compete with anybody else. We're all sitting at home. So it really does open up you. Like if you're going to
yeah,
post anything, it's you in your garden, or it's you cooking, or having the crack with your friends. And I feel like lockdown really brought that out in me personally. I'm actually can't complain about it. Like, I
yeah,
think it was a good thing in
yeah.
some ways.
I think
Silver
it's
lining.
good for a lot of people that are strong enough to look at themselves. So you're in a position where you're strong enough to go, right, I have anxiety. This is
Yeah.
terrible. And then your anxiety, normally anxiety works in two cycles. One is a cycle until you die, where this gets worse, 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 then I'm dead, or it just
Yeah.
goes in a worse, worse circle over and over again.
Right.
Whereas now, like a lot of the people I would know that would have anxiety and stuff, they get to a point where they're like, my brain can't come up with something worse than a
Yeah,
global
absolutely. Yeah.
pandemic. So I
Yeah.
actually, and it freaked people out to start because they felt I feel oddly
Yeah.
calm because it can't
Yeah.
get
Oh, I
worse. And you're
was.
like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
Of course. Of course there's a pandemic.
yeah,
What else could go wrong?
yeah. So the fact that you're strong enough to look within yourself and question everything about how you feel and stuff is really important. People, one
Yeah.
of the main things, like I have a whole book. I wrote a book.
Ooh.
That's actually
Is it look?
the, see
Wow.
the picture that looks all nice, and I'm doing like Tai
Yeah.
Chi. That's actually at the World Poles.
Stop. Is it? Oh my God.
Yeah. At
Oh,
one
that's
point,
deadly.
Elle was like, Liam, cover 5 minutes. And I was like, Tai Chi in a suit? I don't know. And then the
Why
guy
the
took a
hell
really
not?
nice photo. So I was like, I had to change the cover of my book. So I did
Perfect.
that. But
Perfect.
whenever I ended up spending about 3 years just with anxiety clients, that became all I worked with, anxiety,
Right.
and different levels of it, like addiction and
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I noticed were people were so afraid of their anxiety that they didn't look at themselves to. So I
Yeah.
would say to someone, for example, when you feel anxious, what does your breath do? All my breath goes all over the place. And I'm like, brilliant.
Yeah.
What does it do when you're not anxious? And they go,
Yeah.
don't know. So how do you know?
Yeah.
You don't know where you're trying to get back to. You know where you are now. You're in panic and hyperventilating and whatever, but
Yeah.
you don't know what's
Yeah.
actually safe. So yeah, so that's why
Yeah.
I tell everyone to meditate. So you know, like, this is how I am when I'm relaxed. So if
Yeah,
bad things happen, you can go, well, I know where I need to get back to. It's back to this
yeah,
stage instead of just running around in circles,
yeah,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
panic.
And a lot of people don't be still. I found the lockdown, people did not know how to be quiet with themselves or how to sit in a
Yeah,
room with themselves. And I've learned to love that, but definitely it's come out of the illness and the depression and stuff. Like, I absolutely believe there's so many people that I would know and that I would encounter that you can see that they're not even
yeah,
inside themselves. You know, they're not actually in their own bodies. They're up here. And I
yeah,
see that a lot in the studio. And I find that's the great thing about pole and having a studio and all that is you're bringing people back down into their bodies, which is giving them some kind of relief from your head. And there's all that kind of side of it with teaching classes. But like the pandemic, I mean, for sure, it's sort of because you weren't going out to work and you weren't battling traffic and you weren't stressed about this or that because there was nothing you could do. I really feel like it gave us all a chance to go, oh, this is actually what it's like to go out and smell the flowers in your garden and to make your own breakfast
yeah,
and sit with your dog for an hour and read a book. Like it's incredible. You know,
yeah,
I really hope people saw that side of it because like I'm
yeah.
meditating, you have time to do that now, you know?
I think people will notice
Yeah.
more when things open up more. People will go,
Yeah.
I actually miss
Yeah.
standing.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah.
at the
Missed it.
start,
Yeah.
I would stand in my garden and people would, like, I started to see more and more people walk that I've never seen walk before.
Yeah.
And you're like, I hope
Yeah.
you get to the point where you're not walking because you have to or to get away. I hope you're walking because you like it. You
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I meditated, I
Absolutely.
had to
Like
go ahead.
no, no, no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say when I first started to meditate, I it was because I had to. My instructor was like, "You have to learn to
Yeah.
meditate," and I'd sit there going, "Right,
Yeah.
meditate." I'd love to have seen a
Yeah.
video of my just me with my eyes closed,
Yeah.
going,
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
"Should I do
Just
this?"
unsettled in it. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm hoping people start to realize, create nice habits that they like, and realize what's actually
Yeah.
important. Like you said,
Totally.
caring about what people think. You eventually go, "Who are
No.
I don't care
No.
about
Yeah.
any of these people."
Book it. Like
Yeah,
do you know? I find that with people. You mentioned walking there. Like when people walk now, it's like you got to put up on Instagram how far you walked and how long it took you to get there. Or you know, people are going jogging and they're like, "Oh, this is what I saw." You can't go for a coffee now without posting about it. So I
yeah,
really feel like when lockdown happened and we had nowhere to really walk to, like it was literally just there's no point in posting it. Everybody was just posting. Do you remember like all those memes about people making banana bread? Because everyone was just doing the same thing. Jesus,
yeah,
it was great. Like it was great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone that I've talked to that thinks it's great, are I've noticed are people that are creative and who can look into themselves and do. I just realized that's probably because that's who most I talk to in my life, which is another thing.
Yeah.
Whenever you get in a lockdown, you realize how many people you don't need in your, like, the amount of people you don't actually
Yeah.
need around you, which is,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of people cutting people off if they're
Mm,
not for their higher good. Whereas
absolutely. Yeah.
I think people find that a frightening thing to do. But
Mm,
like like you said, whenever you were saying about going public,
yeah.
with the cancer, that like you probably ended up cutting people out of that because
Yeah.
they weren't
Yeah.
for
It
you.
did end the relationships. And like, I found that if people were not bringing you peace, ultimately they are bringing you unrest in your life. And like, that was just a massive, it's almost cut and dried. It's 50-50. Like you're either with me or you're against me almost, you know? And I
Yeah,
don't mean that in an aggressive way, but I really did find that like, as you said, with lockdown and with all these situations, even like if you have anxiety or depression or if you're sick, it brings out the people who you actually should have around you because they're the ones that show up for those things. Like they're there
yeah,
for the good and the bad, you know.
yeah,
And I think that's why, like I'm best friend, like my best friends are Michael and Sarah. Like they're my best friends, and we are business partners, and it's so secondary, the business side of it. It just happens to be who we want to be around all the time. Like
yeah,
I would sit around with the two of them all day long. And obviously Michael's my ex-boyfriend as well, so people think that's hilarious. But like it's
yeah,
just those are people that are on your same journey. They have the same soul vibe that you have, you know, so you can sit in silence with them. So yeah, those are the people you want around you.
Yeah.
So
Even
great.
the fact that it sort of attests to your character that you can be around an ex without it being
Yeah,
full of anger and toxic. Like you were
yeah,
adult enough, or whatever way you'd want to put it, to say this isn't working in this relationship, but it does
yeah,
work in this environment. So
yeah.
whereas that's probably
Like, you still
people.
love somebody.
Hmm?
You
What?
still
Sorry.
love somebody.
Yeah.
Like we just weren't, like, it just wasn't going down that path anymore. But like,
Yeah.
Jesus, he is family. Like, you know,
Yeah.
he's a great man. He's a great man.
This will be I'll cut this bit out just for him. Even though he beat me in every competition I ever competed against him in, I don't even care at all. But
you know,
yeah, again,
he
I
just
think
walked in there a second ago as well. He just walked in there in a weight vest and went behind the thing to get some aid, and I'm like just laughing at him in his weight vest walking around. Such an overachiever.
Yeah, just walking, probably just emptying a dishwasher or cleaning a floor or something.
Yeah,
Wearing a weight vest. So
yeah.
So now I forgot where I was or what was going on.
Oh, sorry. I'm bad at this. Sorry.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, because I think it's important for the type of people that follow us, is there ever been a time where you failed at something, where you thought this is a complete disaster, but it actually turned out to be like a godsend or a good thing?
I'd probably say what we just spoke about there is losing certain people in my life or changing my relationship with people. That has turned out to be a godsend, because like even my last relationship that we would have broken up, like it actually made me want to be on my own, and it made me happy to be on my own. So that's something that, like, it was so dreadful at the time, and it's you know, obviously a really difficult period, but like it actually was the best thing that could have happened to me, because it brought me into my own, you know. And yeah, like that, the illness was 100% that happened for a reason. Like I really believe that happened for a reason. That was not like, I mean, yeah, obviously you get the physical factors, like the reason that somebody would get cancer or that somebody would have this or that, but like I look at it from a spiritual point of view, and I think that was meant to happen. And that was obviously an absolute shit show. Like that was no fun. But like, but there's some mad things came out of it. Like some really mad things came out of it. So yeah, like most of the last 2 years of my life have been what I would have considered 5 years ago to be failures, you know, or giving up, or what would the word be, like selling out, or like being vulnerable. So, but I see those things now as being honestly gifts, like really gifts, because I'm a different person now after, you know.
Well, you're
so
now just more.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everything in the last 2 years. Michael, say hello to Liam. Michael's just walked in again. We'll get him to say hello.
Is he still wearing a weight vest?
No, he's taking the weight vest off.
Hi.
Hello. You're going to be... I'm good, thank you very much. Look at the triceps and everything. We've been talking about how we fake competed, where I was on the stage and then I got off, and then you actually pole danced and did things that were real. This is a great time to tell you. Go on.
You actually placed that year, didn't you?
He plays. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I place all the time, but it's just I win the audience over. I don't do the moves or be the guy.
How you keep...
I think it was because I took my vest off and threw it at Daniel.
You see?
That's always a winner.
Had him in the... It was weird that it was always me and you wearing vests. We're like...
Yeah.
But what do you call it?
Your vest off.
No, it's too sweaty.
You wouldn't listen to me. No.
How are you keeping? You good?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. This is a good time to tell you that you should come on my podcast someday as an interview. I think that will be enjoyable.
That'd be awesome.
And you can, you know what's sickening me these days though is watching you slackline.
Oh really?
Because I am shite at slack. Like, remember I sent you the video and I was like, I'm getting better at this. I'm not getting better at slacklining.
To be fair, it is really slow. Like I find even compared to a lot of other things, I find even learning the skills in it is really, really, really slow.
You just keep
Like
falling over,
slower than most other skills I've learned, like between like trapeze, rings, pole, hand balance. Like slackline's really slow. Like I'm doing it nearly a year now, and like I know I'm getting better at it and I feel good, but like it's so slow.
Such
Like
an
it's
overachiever.
crazy.
I've been blaming the trees. I've just been
Yeah.
going, something wrong with my
It's the
tree.
vent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
connecting up.
The wind. It's the wind.
Yeah.
The wind as well. See, I don't have hair to feel
The
it, so I don't notice it until I fall over. That's it. I like it.
Yeah.
Right, I better finish because I got someone coming in. Nice to talk to you. Definitely give me a mail and I can do an interview with you. It'll be a bit of fun.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I came here to get yoga vlogs.
Extra person on there.
So that's a bonus. That's a bonus within the bonus.
Yeah.
The last question I like to ask people, just for whenever I remember to ask it, because I find it fun, because I love superheroes. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh.
Stop being annoying.
To stop being annoying. Thanks, Michael.
But that's just for. It sounds like he fell over there. There's just a clatter after he said it. Sounded like he fell over.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, no. Superpower. Shite. Oh crap! Why can't I think of an answer? Do you know what? Healing people.
Would be. What is it? Healing people.
Healing people. Yeah. Do you know what I think? It's like, okay, I'd love to be able to fly and teleport and stuff, but then I'm like, God, imagine your parents get sick. Ha! No, I got this. Healing people. Is that a stupid one?
No, that's good. Like, it just fits with everything that we've talked about. You're like, when we talked about the way we perform on stage, it's to entertain people. It's not for us. We're not on the stage for us.
Yeah.
You teach because you want to pass on knowledge. So I love this question because everyone always answers the same way. They get confused and they throw one out that they think's random. And then when we talk about it, you're like, it makes perfect sense that you'd want to heal the people. Like, as a teacher, like you said it, the people come into you broken. Well, I said broken people are invited into the sports that we do, but people come into you with anxiety and stuff, and then like half a year later they're performing in some sort of show that you've created or something, and you're like, so you already have that superpower. And I think it's just good that it came to you.
I'm just gonna have a quick cry before my classes. Thanks, Liam.
As long as you do that off this, it's fine.
Yeah, I will. Oh, that's
that'll be awkward.
Sweet, though.
I'll just be sitting going. That'll be you're crying, and I'll be going.
I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! You're just there, like, you ever come on?
No, I don't smoke. I heard it was bad for you once, so I just never did it.
No, it's disgusting. Yeah, it's disgusting.
I'm very good like that. I follow every single rule ever. Never broke a rule in my life.
Yeah. There you go. That's admirable. That's very admirable.
It's untrue, which makes it even worse now because I'm lying, so that's even less admirable.
Makes it fun.
So everyone can find you via. I'll put the links down, but where's the best places to find you, just so everyone knows?
I'm probably on Instagram the most. I don't know how that happened. I sort of transitioned over to Instagram. So they could probably find me there, usually talking shite on my Insta stories. They can come and have a look. Or, Facebook, I guess.
Just Terri Fierce. Have you, you've a Terri Fierce, have you got a studio as well? Or is it
So the Fierce Fitness Studio, which actually Michael runs, and he's really good at it. He's always got really great pictures up of the girls, when people tag the studio and stuff, he reshares. So that's a cool one to check out, because you'll see our family, so the people that train with us.
Cool. I'll link everything below, and they can just reach out to you, because I know you're approachable. So Terri, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. That was fun.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a good chat.
You're very welcome. For everyone listening, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you all soon.